window workspace. Okay. Interactive. So if you're not an interactive, make sure you are. And then I'm going to go and say File, New, Document. So I'm going to go under Web, and I'm going to go in all presets, and I'm going to use a 1024 by 768, potentially, but why don't we do instead 960 by 760, since we know our images are that size. How many pages? We have at least 4 sections, so we need at least 4 pages for now, right? So I'm going to put 4. And then obviously you can increase. In each section might have, you know, likely multiple ones. Yes?
What are the dimensions again?
760. Sorry. Width is 960. Height is 760. Just like the images I scaled. You guys, sorry if you cannot see from the very back, but you can feel free to sit in the front row. I don't bite. I promise. None of my student evaluation ever said Enrica bit me. So that's a good thing, right? All right, so I'm going to say OK. And now if you look in the pages, I have 4 pages, like I'm supposed to, right here. Each one is going to be a section of my project. And each one will be a different parent. You know what I mean? That eventually what we're going to do is that I will create something that I have a certain icon for each of the projects. But let me actually show you. First of all, let's actually create 2 more. Insert pages. And I'm going to make one at the beginning that is kind of the home page, and one that is the table of content before my 4 sections, okay? So I'm going to go in page 1, and this is my home page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Command D, and I'm going to go and grab some images. Actually, let me see what's the name. Right now I don't remember the name of the project. I just is called Demo Project 4, sorry. I have to make sure I find the right project, right? So if I do Command D and I go and find Demo Project 4 on the desktop. Now stop me at any minute if you find yourself that you need me to stop. So it's called, I'm going to small images, and I'm going to bring in my 4 small images just as I'm creating kind of a home page. I'm just trying to make them more interesting by saying, hey, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and choose Auto Fit. I'm creating a rough design for my homepage. So I'm going to, homepage means kind of the opening page, right? And I don't want to see the whole thing. So first I chose auto fit so I could scale it smaller, but then I'm going to uncheck it and use the frame as a cropping tool so I see only part of the image. Because I need to eventually have 4 images here. I'm going to put the whole 4 sections in the homepage just for the sake of it. In fact, I'm going to Command copy, sorry. This what I did is I clicked and drag and click and drag, and then hold Option and Shift, and that will make a copy. And then do the same thing. Now, the unfortunate thing is they're not going to, what I needed to do is do the math, 960 divided by 4. And so for the sake of right now, I'm going to just leave it like this. Maybe what I'll do is I have 3 images more placed like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, Command D. I'm going to choose a different one. Let's put the robots. And then I'm going to go and say Object, Content, Fit Content. Actually, I don't want to fit it proportionally. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go with my Y arrow that allows me to move my robot, and I size it however I want it to look a little bit better. And then I'm gonna, this one is good enough, to be honest, is okay. It means right now I just want to put images of robots because that's my theme. And then I go in my 3rd one, Command D, and choose the Vespa. Do the same thing. I go with my there we are. So I have my 3 images that kind of set the tone, the theme of the project. And I'm going to put my name somewhere. So I'm going to go, first of all, let's put also background color. So I go in the layer, create an extra layer, put in the bottom. And I take remember, don't use the frames with the X, because those are image frames. They're frames meant to host an image. So I'm actually going to use just the regular shapes. and go in here and create a rectangle. And then I'm going to choose the fill. Maybe it's kind of like a steel blue, something like that. Ooh, I like this. Nice job. I like the steel blue. I can also kind of say, okay, I'm going to give it a kind of a little bit of style by going in and create another rectangle right here around all the images. And this one, I'm just going to put a white stroke around it. So that is as kind of like a little finished look. And I'm going to make it a little bit thicker than 1, maybe 3. So now if I do W, that shows you how it's going to print. That's how my page is looking so far. This is the cover page, right? So what I need to do, I'm going to hit W again to go out of preview mode. I'm going to take the T tool, and I'm going to, oh, I see that this one is a text frame, is it? Maybe not. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, lock the background. What it was trying to do with the T tool is when I moused over that background box was trying to fill it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the text on a separate layer. And here enough now, sure enough, I can write in there, Enrica Lovaglio Art 182. How do you call it? Workbook? I don't know how you want to call it. Fall 2024. Oh, wait, it's winter, sorry. Winter 2024. Now, obviously, I'm going to do Command A, and I'm going to format it. I like Athelas, Avenir. Maybe Avenir is better. Avenir book, or maybe even thicker. I'm going to make it kind of big. Maybe like 24. And I'm going to center it. So do something like that. All right, perfect. So that's kind of what I have right now. Not crazy, but you know, it's not the best, but I'm not going to tinker too much with the design. I encourage you to, though, obviously. And you can decide if you want it black. I don't like it black. I'm going to make it white because I want actually the robot to stand out more than my name and whatever. Okay, it looks better, right? If I do W, it looks a little bit professional. So now what I want is I want to have some arrows in here that allow me to progress through the project. We did that last time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go in the home page. That is where I should put them. Actually, let me put them in here and then copy them into the home page so I place them strategically where I want to. If you remember, we went on the shape tool under polygon. I clicked on the canvas and I chose 3 sides, and I'm going to put 50 in width and height. I'm creating a triangle, obviously. So I say, okay. I'm going to go with my black arrow and turn it. Boom. I'm going to fill it with white. And I'm going to maybe lower the opacity a bit to 50%, so it's kind of not as obtrusive as much of a, and I'm going to go in here and make it a little bit smaller because it's pretty loud, isn't it? It's a big, bulky thing. And I'm going to actually also go and try to round the corner. If you don't see it on the interface up here, remember there's object, corner options, and you can say, okay, I want it to round it like 4 pixels. And boom. 4 might not be enough. Let's do 6. All right. So now I have my next button right here, right? What I can do, and you can obviously do that, you go to the end, but let's actually, for now, you know how to do that because we did it last class. Just say copy, or actually instead of copy and paste, we can also go in here and did what we did earlier, start dragging, and then option click, oh, shoot, yeah, option shift, so it stays on the same thing. Sorry, I got stuck for a second. And right here allows you to flip it, so flip horizontal. So now we have these 2 cute little buttons that we can assign actions to. In truth is, we want to have it throughout all the projects, so we're going to select them, say Command X for cut. I'm going to go in pages, and I'm going to go in parent, and I'm going to say edit, paste in place. Boom. You don't see them much, right? The problem is because the parent is they're white against white, but that's okay, no big deal. I'm going to go with this button, and I'm going to be next, right? So I'm going to go under the buttons interface right here, and under type, I'm going to say button. I'm going to say next. And then right here, I'm going to say go to the next page. And here under rollover, I'm going to make it go from, to really like 20%. Boom. So I do the same thing with this one, but this time I'm going to make it to be a previous page. So let's call it previous. And under here, I'm going to say go to the previous page. Roll over at 20%. Perfect. So is everybody with me so far? I'm going to say Command S because I got to a point that I can save it. So yeah, I'm going to get to you. Let me save this. So it's always important to a certain point save it so you don't lose your work. And then I'll take any questions. And I'm going to call it Project 04 Interface because this is just the interface. It's not the whole project. Yes, what's the question?
So on the Canvas timeline for this project, it says that there was like basically a draft of creating 2 different layouts and stuff.
Can you please follow the demo? Can we talk about that later? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I just don't want to sidetrack since we're in the middle of this. Let's try to get this done first. Then we can talk about timelines and everything else. So you have these very nice unobtrusive buttons that you can barely see, but they're there. In fact, if you hit W, you can totally see them. And you know that they can take you to the next page. And they are in every page, even though I don't necessarily see all the pages there. That's okay. So the question I have here is actually, you know what I'm going to do? So that I see them also in the master or in the parent, I'm going to actually go in layers right here. And I'm going to actually take the background, and I'm going to say Command X, and I'm going to place it inside the parent. Paste in place. Ooh, it has even this part. I did not know this was... Sorry, I wanted to have that actually in here. So I'm going to edit, paste in place. Okay, so now I have the background in the master, the white stroke in here with the 3 images and my text. So I've basically created the home page. I'm going to go in here and create the following pages. So what I would do here is a table of content, for example. So what you can do is copy this right here. And then you can call it table of content. Try to keep your name there. And in there, you'll have basically, let's say you take a certain images. For now, for the matter of speed, I'm going to just grab the ones that are in there. So you're going to take certain images and make them little icons that indicate that you're going to the different section of your project. Boom. So I'm going to do one here, and I'm going to call it, and I'm actually going to copy it 4 times. In fact, you know what I need to do? If I want to copy it 4 times, I need to make it a bit smaller. So I use auto fit because I like how it was framing this robot. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to copy it a few times so that it becomes 4 icons later on. You can see that I'm basically copying content and then selecting the box and doing Command D and choosing a different image to populate it with. So I'm going to choose this one. And if it's not scaled, correctly, what you can do is go with your white arrow and scale it however you want to. You see this turns out shows up really, really big, but you can go in and make it fit however you like. So you kind of create a little bit of a situation in your table of content oftentimes in which you see your images or something, some icons. You could obviously use text instead. Text tends to be a bit boring for artists, but for an art, element. And then I go in here, do the same thing. I'm going to go and populate this one with the 3rd image. And same story, this one is actually a little small already. That is cool. You see it's already scaled a little bit smaller. My point is, just try to do what you can to create something in the table of content that is somehow interesting enough. So we already put this one. And obviously, let's scale it a little bit smaller.
Enrica,
Yes.
what do you suggest we put for the first page of our
Whatever you want. I put this just because, you know, it's about robot. You could put four images, the three images of your projects. That's why I actually have 3 here, because I was thinking you could kind of give, or let's look at later on when we're done with this, we'll talk about the logistic of how the project is going to develop. And then we'll talk about also past student work, and we'll go see past student work. I showed you a few. There was a lady called Fiona that created a series of waves and doesn't have any other images. There was a guy that created this koi fish theme. So it's really up to you what you want to create. That's the only kind of challenging part in this project. Is not necessarily the production that you can follow this video and just do it, but more like, what do I put around, you know, in the images? Which images do I put in each page? You can also go in here and say, okay, I'm going to create a white stroke around them, since that's what I had in the prior page, so it makes sense, right? So you could also kind of tie things together by repeating certain elements so that, you know, the user kind of gets used to kind of seeing the same thing. It's kind of cohesive, it's more unified, end quote. All right. So now what you could do is you could specify each of these what it is. So you can say, okay, this one is going to take you to, for example, projects. So I'm going to go again, grab some text, and in here I'm going to say projects. And you can have 01, 02, 03. And these could also be linked to the project. Or you can just click on here and it takes you to the first project. There are many ways to do it. But you're right, that section is about the project. This section is about, for example, the exercises, or maybe the discussions. And you can call it discussion or design lectures, because the discussion were about those design lectures that you had to watch. And you don't have to put numbers here. You just have to put the ones that you enjoyed the most. And I generally try to align things by using the guide. Say, okay, I'm going to use the guide so that I can align design and project. You know, I mean, that text is always aligned so that it doesn't jump around. Remember, alignments in design are very important. And then same thing, I'm going to copy here and write exercises. And then lastly, about me. So you could have basically these that will take you, and I'll show you how to create you already know how to create the button, but we'll create them together. But if you go and do W, you see it looks like a nice tidy page with a table of content. I don't like the table of content to be so attached to my name, so I'm going to use Option arrow key to lower it a little. It disappears because the box is too small. Boom. And you can use table of content in a different color. You can obviously decide how to make it interesting or interesting enough for your taste. Oh, it doesn't show up, huh? Not exactly the best color. Let me go with something dark. Anyway, you get the picture. So this is the table of content. This is a home page. These are just the 2 pages. They could have a blue background. They could be unified because they're the opening pages. Now this page is actually the projects page, right? So you can actually copy project, move it here and say V, and here you have your project. And you could have, for example, first you can have just project 1. Let me make this text box a lot bigger, and let's make project this much, much bigger. So we're going to make it like 36, even 48. Remember to use some tracking, Option arrow keys to space it out a little. You could use some kind of interesting typography there or not. But here, you would have all the images of your projects, right? So you might have, I'm going to use frames, the image frame. So down here, you have maybe a bunch of text. So I'm going to actually create a box right here. So down here, you can say, okay, I'm going to object, content, text. And in here, oops, sorry, you go with the text tool inside that box and type whatever the project is about, right? So I'm going to Command A, Command copy, and sorry, imagine that this is real text, and you maybe even grabbed it from the Canvas class. Command A, I'm going to make it maybe 14 and space at 18, and whatever you want to do with it, right? I don't know. But imagine this text is just to explain what the project is about. Keep it short, keep it sweet. Don't make it all bold or all caps. That is always painful to read. Remember, let me actually use Athelas. That is a little bit easier to read. It's a nice, easy font to read. And you can make it whatever color. So imagine that project one has, like every project has, a text and then a series of images. So one image might be like the original sketch, and the second image, so let me create a stroke around it, because I'm not going to fill it, right? Because I don't have actually images of projects. So I'm just going to put these as placeholder. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a stroke. So keep that white stroke around the boxes consistent. So imagine this is a sketch and this is the finished product. And you can always make it smaller, bigger too. It's up to you. So there we are. So I have kind of a description of the project and this. Now, I also have my arrows and stuff. But let's say I don't want this background to be blue. I want it to be a different color. So what you can do is this is part of the master. So if you try to select it, it does not get selected unless you do Command Shift Click. When you Command Shift Click on a master object, master means a parent object, sorry, it used to be called master pages, now they're parent pages. But when you Command Shift Click on one object that belongs to a parent, then you can edit it. So I'm going to go in here and choose a color for projects that is maybe like a lavender or something different. Bit too strong. Let me go with something a little bit mellower. This is not really that much. But let's say you have project 1. Now you need project 2 and 3, right? So what you could do is you could go and say, okay, I'm going to actually copy this content. Command copy. And I'm going to create 2 more pages. Insert pages. 2. And then you go in this page and do edit, paste in place. And in this page and say edit, paste in place. Boom. So you could do that. So the project, then you can go in here and say, okay, I'm going to do project 2 here. And obviously this one is a different description. These are different images. And this is project 3. Now let's say you want to give it also a thematic thing. You might want to, why is it not letting me type? 2, 1, 2. What's wrong with this? Okay, I don't know why it wasn't typing at first. So let's say you also want to give it a theme. You say, hey, look, I'm using a robot. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do that the top part is going to have a circular, shape with the robot, one of the robot images in it. So I kind of, the first, you see that this image identified, the theme here. So what you can say is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to go with the pen tool, create kind of an interesting shaped graphic box, like something like this. And remember, what we really see is the stuff that is in the blue. And then, in there, I'm going to say object, content, graphic. And I'm going to do Command D and choose that image, because that's in the table of content what identifies that section. And I'm obviously going to do this. So now all my projects pages are going to have that image, because as I said, in the table of content, that's what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, basically select this shape, Command copy. I'm going to go in here in this page here and say edit, paste in place. And down here, edit, paste in place. Boom. So now, if you had populated all this stuff, means that this project description, and everything, then you're good. Now, the only thing I don't like yet, or exactly, is that right here I have my name. Right here I have my name. Imagine that I'm sending this to an employer, and at this page, the employer feels like he has to go pick up his cup of tea. He comes back and says, okay, who's this project about? Like, who's this, right? So what you could do, I'm telling my student all the time, I'm saying Command Copy. You can down here, Command V, you can put in there, obviously smaller, take off the table of content. I'm going to take off 24 points. It can be a lot smaller. And doesn't have to be black. It could be book. But I can put in there Enrica Lovaglio. You can put your name in there. And next to your name, your email. And whatever else. Like if you have an Instagram or a Facebook, whatever you have. I don't have any social media, so I don't have anything I can plug in there. Most people do, like Twitter and all that stuff. So basically put in there how does the person can reach you. If you want to, if you're sending as a PDF so it doesn't go online and people can really call you, you can also put your phone number. So if someone says, hey, look, this is a really good candidate, we want to call them and schedule an interview, boom, they have it. In fact, this one should be part of the master page, honestly, but maybe not, because certain pages in that spot, you might have something. This stuff now, to me, needs to be these 3 parts now, just to make it that it has a little more space up here. You know, this box is a little bit. So what I would do is I would select these 3 boxes and lower it 1, 2, 3 times, you know, for everyone, so it's consistent. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So I just would kind of make them a little bit lower so they're not crowding that top image I just added. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so projects is done, and now the next pages are going to be design lectures, right? So what we can do is we can take this header, the project header, because we like to keep it that size. Go in here and say edit, paste in place, and here I'm going to say design lectures. And what you might want to put is an image for each design lecture, right? So again, though, you might want to have a description and maybe 2 images again. Let me actually copy these and move it down here. So edit, paste in place. So design lecture, maybe what we can do is design lecture week 1. Let's say the one you like the best were in week, or like instead of the week, put the topic, like a scale, use of scale. Something like that. My point is, put something in there that we know what that design lecture is about, and then put a little description and a couple of images. Again, I'm going to go and grab this, and actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it in the master or in the parent page, so I don't have to keep copying it a bunch of time. Edit, paste in place. So now if I go back into my pages, I should have the cover page done, the table of content done. Ooh, I don't want it here though, right? So in the table of content, I'm going to do Command Shift click and remove it. I told you that there will be pages in which I don't want it. And here the problem is that I think that there's that background color that is in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a layer and move this object above. So let me go back in the parent. You'll have to do some shuffling and understanding how. So this guy right now is below the background. That's why I don't see it in certain pages. So I need to go in layers and make sure I move it all the way up to the top. So now when I go in my pages, I should be able to see it right there. Sure, perfect. It's always there. Okay, so design lecture. I don't like this color for design lecture. I want it different because the color for projects. So I'm going to do Command Shift click. And I'm going to go and choose a different color. And you could actually have 4 different parent pages and achieve the same result. But this works and is a little bit maybe easier. I don't know. I don't know if I like this green though. Gosh, I'm such a booger about colors, guys. I'm always, you know, it's like I always joke saying it's a giving birth process to get the right color. Because I'm always very indecisive about colors. Okay, let me do Command Z and try to chill, not to worry about it. So you'll have a series of design lecture stuff, right? So you will probably do the same thing here. You Command copy it, And then you go in here and do edit, paste in place. And this time, instead of use of scale, is use of something, negative space, yes?
Is this being pre-recorded currently?
Absolutely. We always record everything so you guys are never lost. You always have a guidance. There are also extra videos that I recorded in past classes that are pretty much doing the same thing, and I emailed them to you yesterday. Yesterday, those videos, I said, watch those videos. We're doing exactly this.
Okay. Is there a way for you to post this screen recording?
Absolutely. I always post it when after I'm done recording and it gets processed, I post it in that week learning resources. All right, so the design lecture, use of whatever you decide instead of space, patterns maybe, negative space, whatever you want. And again, here you have different images, and then here you have another page of that. And then this time is alignment, whatever. But the bottom line is now I have 3 pages of the project, 2 pages intro, 3 pages of the design lecture. Now I need to create more pages to go on. Oh, and by the way, now the design lecture icon is this dude. So what I could do is I could grab this, copy it in the design lectures. And remember, you could create actually a parent page and not have to copy it a bunch of times. It's up to you. Edit, paste in place means if this was in the parent page, then you wouldn't have to worry about copying it. But Command D, and I'm going to use that image. It's kind of a symbol of that section in the table of content. I'm just kind of trying to keep everything tight and cohesive, but it is ultimately your choice what you want to do, right? Means you choose what you think it works best for your design. Means I'll give you examples of past student work in which they don't do any of this. You know, they kind of decide to do whatever they decide to do. Well, I'm going to have just the eye. It looks good enough. And then obviously once you're done and you feel like, okay, this is the right, image. I like how it turned out. Command copy it, and then you go in here and do edit, paste in place. Oops. I think I was still there. I need to double click on this on this page. 6. This one is edit, paste in place. And now obviously design lecture needs to be moved on a higher layer so I can see it. And then down here, this page, let me make sure I am on the right page. It's very important. Right, so if I'm in here, yep, edit, paste in place. And then I take design lecture here and I move it to a layer above where I just pasted the image. All right, so now the lectures are taken care of, the projects are taken care of. Now I can add more pages to do the exercises. So I'm going to go under the pages palette, under the options, and say insert pages. And I'm going to put 3 pages for exercises, boom. And then I do the same thing, very similar kind of thing. I'm going to copy kind of the content of the template. And you can do that. You can keep everything very cohesive like that, and it's fine, or you can go kind of a little bit wild, and that's fine too. I'll show you examples of students that actually decide to have everything very organic and not repeating things. I like repetition because I feel like it keeps us on track and keep things clear, but it's up to you. So the next one is exercises. And here you can say week 1, for example, because I don't know how else to signify. I forget what we did every week, to be honest. Here again, you want to have a different symbol, right? A different image. This time was it this one, the third one, or this one? I forgot which one was about me and which one was the exercises. Sorry, let me go. Oh, the Vespa looking thing is the exercises. Cool. So I'm going to go in exercises, Command D, choose the Vespa thing. Obviously, I have to make it a little bit smaller, so I select it with the white arrow. And I move it a little bit up so I see the good stuff. And it's a little bit like this. That's okay, it's fine. And then I obviously want to change the background color because this is a new section. I'm going to try to go with something more like a warm, like a little apricot or yellow. Let's see how this one works. Oh, not bad. It goes with the Vespa, right? So now I'm going to copy all this content again in my pages, in my future pages. Edit, paste in place. and edit, paste in place. And every time I'm going to say exercise week. Let's say you liked week 1, week 4. You like week 4 and week 8. You know, you don't have to obviously show every week, otherwise it would be a huge PDF. And 8. Perfect. So now I got the exercises done too, and now I need the About Me page. There's generally just one page that has your, so I'm going to go in again, pages, say insert. I'm going to say one page, okay. And I'm going to go in and copy the background so that I put a different background in there. For the About Me page, I'm going to choose maybe something like that. And then what you'll have there is likely an image of you right here. And I'm going to put and it can be your avatar that you created in this class. Can be a beautiful photo of you, is up to you. And then you probably likely are going to have a bio, right? Short, sweet bio, nice and clean. I'm going to move this to the side. I'm just copying the text box. So if you had formatted this text box to look really nice, you can just plug into this text box your bio, and that's kind of done. So for the bio, though, you also might want, just for thematic reason, to have that kind of an extra image just for fun. You might not, but I'm going to do it. Especially because I have another image. I like the one that, this one. And again, you go with your Y arrow to scale a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger, however you want it. There we are. So now you can see my project is good, and all these should be, I should be able to click these and I'll go to the next page. In fact, let's test it. So I just saved it again. I'm going to go in buttons and forms. I'm going to go in the preview of the buttons. If yours opens up really small, you can obviously, you know, open it up. You want to say all pages. You want to, you know, preview all pages. I want to hit the play button. And it should jump to the first page. And then it should allow me to mouse over here, click, and see that I can indeed move through all the various pages. Sorry, but these all look the same. So even though I'm moving, it doesn't really sometimes seems, I mean, if you look at the title, changes, and that should help. So the bottom line is you can see what is happening. Your project structure is happening beautifully. So now the other thing we can do, though, is we can definitely navigate this linearly, but how do we navigate this jumping around? Like, what if I want to click on this and go to, or on the icon, maybe on the little images, cooler, and I want to go to the different, you know, the projects or the design lecture or stuff. So we did it last class. If you remember, we went on pages right here and found the pages that has all the different, in this case, sections, right? So you have, here is where your project starts, project 1, right? So what I'm going to do in that particular page, I'm going to go under bookmarks in the menu next door, in the menu that is about interactive in design. So I go in there and I click the plus sign and I call it projects. And I'm going to say return. Then I'm going to jump to the page that starts the design lecture. I generally go back into pages to make sure I'm indeed there, right? Yes, I'm in page 6. That is the first one of the design lecture. Now I'm going to go in bookmarks again, and I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to call it design. And then finally, I get to the page about exercises. I go in pages, make sure I'm indeed in the right page. Right? I don't want to assume that I am. No, I am. Perfect. Then I go in bookmarks, and I'm going to click and say exercises. Enter. And then lastly, ooh, shoot, I put this one not at the end, but I inserted this page in the wrong place. How do I change that? I'm going to go under pages, and you can see this page 11 needs to be after page 12, right? So I'm going to go in this little icon that looks like a little paragraph, the palette options, and I'm going to say move pages. You're going to say I want to move page 11 after page 12. Boom. So now I have the 3 pages of my exercises, one after the other, as they should be. And then I have the bio page. So I'm going to go in this page and make sure that I did a bookmark for exercises. Yes, I did. And then, obviously, I'm going to go to the last page. Double click on page 12. And I'm going to go again in bookmarks, and I'm going to say about me. So right now, what you did is you just bookmarked the pages. You haven't really put any actions that takes you there. So what you might want to do is you might want to go to the table of content right here and say, okay, I'm going to make this guy a button that takes me to projects, this guy a button that takes me to lectures or design lectures, one exercises and one about me. How do I do that? Just like I did earlier, right? To create buttons, I go under the buttons interface. I go in here and say, I want to make it into a button. I'm going to call it projects. Enter. And under the plus sign, I'm going to say go to destination, right? Because now we have in those bookmarks 4 different destinations. So I'm going to click on that. And under destination, by default, it takes you to about me. You can see it right here. But I'm going to actually choose projects. And I'm going to create a rollover by simply making the opacity 60%. So now what's happening to this is when I'm in the table of content and I mouse over this image, it goes down 60%. And when I click, it takes me to the projects page. I'm going to do the same thing 3 more times, and that should help you out. I'm going to go ahead and say button. I'm going to call this one design. Enter. I'm going to hold the plus sign and I say go to destination. And down here again takes you to about me. By default, I'm going to choose design. And then the rollover, I'm going to do 60% right here. Enter. Perfect. Doing the same thing right here. I'm going to go and say, okay, I want it to be a button. I want it to go to exercises. I'm going to go to destination. And in the options that it gives me, I obviously choose exercises. And under the rollover, I choose to lower the opacity to 60%. I'm going to do Command S. It's always good to save. And then same thing, button. I'm going to call it about me or about to keep it simple. Go to destination. And this time I'm going to leave it about me. I just create the rollover at 60%. All done. Okay, so now those are buttons that take me to the different sections. Let's demo this. Go in buttons. Go on to this little icon of the screen with a play button on it. Make sure I say I want to see all the pages by clicking on this to say I want to preview the document as multiple pages. And then I'm going to click the play button right here. It should take me to the home page. Uh-oh, here I have something going on that's not good. We'll see what happened. I think it's the master, the parent page has that Enrica, that contact that I don't actually want, so I'll remove it. Good to know. I'm going to click to the first button, and then I can go here. That takes me to projects. Oops, what happened? Once I'm in projects, I have to go back to the table of content. That's unacceptable, right? What do you guys think? Unacceptable. Let's fix it. So this is what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to fix this. There is something that the parent page has this Enrica thing that I don't like. So Option Shift click to get this. It doesn't allow me to do it. That's interesting. You know what I mean? That has this stuff that is from the master. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, let's try to Option Shift and click on this one. For some reason, it doesn't let me overturn it. That is so interesting. Well, if it gives you that problem, what I suggest you do is you take it out. Command X. And I'm going to put this back. And you can put it in your pages. It's not ideal because you have to put it a bunch of times, but that's okay. I don't want to hear anyway either, but I do want to hear. Now, I do want to hear, but what I could do actually, and I realized something pretty cool. I could do edit, paste in place, But instead of taking that whole space, what I could do is I could move it to the side. And those, right after my name, I could have 3 little icons or 4 little icons that match these, right? So what I could do is I could take these guys here, I'm selecting them all, and say Command Copy. And then I could go here on this page, do Command V. But instead of having them this size, they're pretty big, I could shrink them and put them in an horizontal line. So now I'll have those as buttons everywhere, right? There we are. Better. So now I can pretty much distribute them, and I can use the Align palette if, sorry. I'm going to put it out of the, if it's inside the box, it only allows me to select the box instead of the little icon. So I could kind of put them here. They're still a little bit too big, so we'll shrink them. Don't worry. Life is good. So what I'm basically doing is I'm carrying this menu, actually in the other pages too, so at any given moment, I can actually click. I don't ever have to go back to the table of content page, because these are in every page as well. That's what I'm doing. So I hope you understand why, because it kind of, you don't want to make people have to go. Pretty cool. Now, the only thing that is not cool is that these things need to be in every page, and right now they're only on this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and copy them. Deselect this, Command Copy, and let's put it in the parent and see if I can paste in place. If I can remove it from this page, from these pages where I don't need it, because earlier it would not allow me to Command-Shift-Click. Oh, it does now. Awesome. So I don't want them in these pages. So Command-Shift-Click, delete, Command-Shift-Click, delete, Command-Shift-Click. Oh, this one is going to be in the way, so I'm going to do Command-Shift-Click and then put that back. Boom. And then I'm going to put this back. All right, so now I have this page is clean. This page, I'm going to do the usual Command-Shift-Click to get rid of it. Means the stuff where I don't need it, I overwrite the parent by Command-Shift-Clicking and delete. But the other pages need it, right? So they have it. Oop, why not? Oh, I know why. Because if you go in the parent, I bet they're in the back instead of in the top. Haha, on the wrong layer. So let me go, look. So if I go and select them all, and those are already made buttons, so I'm good. If I go and select them and go in the layers, yes, they're at the bottom layer, should be at the top. Boom. So now if I go in my pages, there and there and there. Oh, I forgot to copy this again. Sorry. But anyway, you can basically go through your pages, add the text, or not. You might say, I don't like the text. But I think it's cool to make sure that people know that is your project. And so having it everywhere kind of helps in every page, because there is never kind of a doubt. So anyway, I now copy my name, and then I'm pretty much almost done. What else do I need to do to really call it done? What do I need to do? Come on, help me out. Before I turn this into Enrica, what do I do? Package it, yes. Don't forget. You cannot turn in this one alone or everything is going to be broken. That is kind of embarrassing, right? Paste in place. All right. First of all, I'm going to save it and preview it. Make sure my buttons work, even though sometimes the preview is finicky. But let me go multiple pages. I'm going to say play. It should take me to the home page or to the first page. Boom. Then I'm going to click on here. I'm going to say project. I want to go see the projects, and then I can decide if you want to see, you know, project 1, project 2, project 3. And then I say, okay, I'm done with the project. Now I need to go to this. Obviously, it's not working. Let me see why. And let me see if it's actually the preview or I need to recreate. So the reason why it might not be working is because I created the actions in this page. And then I copied it in the other one. But in a way, it gets a little bit InDesign confused, because from the parent page, this guy is linking to the outside page, right? So it becomes a little tricky. So what I can do is I can go in my button and re-specify the action. Say I want to remove the action, minus, and then add it again and specify. You see it goes to about me. You want to say projects. So what I would do is I would probably, just for the sake of just making sure that there's no glitches, remove the action from every button and then reassign it so that, again, you know for sure is going to be working out. So let me do that and then retest it. So I'm going to remove the action. They go to because the problem is the action, it's not the rollover, I would think. Go to destination, and this one is the exercises, and then there is one more. That is the about me. All right. So now we should be good. Again, I will test it just for the sake of it, and you cannot test from inside the master, so or the parent. So you want to go in page 1 right now, and then go in buttons and do your testing. Always say multiple pages and play, even if it takes you to the first page. And then you go in here. Then let's say let's go into projects. I view my project 1, 2, and 3. Then I want to go. It doesn't look like it's working. So let me export it. Sometimes it's just the preview that doesn't play it. So let me do File, Export. In fact, let me do the entire process. Let me go and package it first. First of all, before you package, make sure that down here says no errors, okay? When it says no errors, you're golden. So I'm going to say File, Package, because there is no error. And I'm going to hit Package. And I'm going to say, I'm going to go in that demo folder, demo something, project 4, I believe. Demo project 4. And it's called P04 interface folder. I'm copying the fonts, copying the link graphics. I'm going to copy the graphics I updated, even though I didn't, but that's okay. I'm unchecking the PDF for print because the next step is to do a PDF, but it's not for print. It's interactive. And then I'm going to hit package. It's telling me, hey, I'm copying the fonts in a folder. That should not get me in trouble. I'm going to say okay. And indeed, it did it. And now I'm going to go and say File, Export. And now I'm going to do my PDF. I'm going to go in the same place, P04 interface folder. I'm going to put it inside here. And I'm going to say interactive this time. And I'm going to say save. And it will tell me what do you want to save. I want to save all pages. I want to have a fade effect. And that should do it. Now compression, if your images are really already nice and small, you can kind of like leave it alone. Here, notice when you compress, it increases your resolution to 144. So first go down to 72, because it'll make your file size a lot smaller. If when you preview it, it looks like hell, then you can leave it at 144. But I recommend you try this first. File, Export, and choose PDF Interactive. Let me redo it. File, Export. And under PDF right here, you choose Interactive. I'm going to say Save again. I'm going to go in Compression and say I want it at 72. And then I'm going to go in Advanced, and the rest should be good. Cool. I'm going to hit Export. Boom. So now let me go in my in that folder, the demo folder, and inside what I just created, and double click on Interface, PDF. And it opens up with Acrobat Reader, and that takes me to the next page. And then I can go and say I want to see design lectures, or I want to see, you see the button works beautifully in the exported PDF, the one down here. But they don't work in the preview. So be aware that a preview is not always good. But you can see now that you can visualize your project at using the linear, arrows, or jumping through the section through these little icons. I'm going to stop the recording, then take all the questions in the world, and then take a break. And when we come back from the break, I want you to do it. I want all this process, and I'm going to be right by your side. So whenever you get stuck, I'm going to be right there to help you. But let me stop the recording right now.